Hi, I'm Sameer Jain at Active Allocator. In my very personal opinion, I'm not too sure if the president has a complete picture of the many potentially negative consequences this trade war, these tariffs would create for American workers. So of course, we have advocates of trade restrictions who argue that imports cost US jobs. Perhaps that might be so. But yet we've seen that net employment in the US has been on an all-time high. And moreover, each job that is saved, and I say that quote unquote, by trade restrictions, cost us consumers 5 to 6 times more, depending on the industry. So also we see that jobs protected in one sector are more than offset by increased unemployment in other sectors and in other geographies. Also, import restrictions are going to leave foreigners with fewer dollars to spend on US exports. And we begin to see that as other countries retaliate against US protectionist measures, US exports will continue to be hit. And protectionist legislation is already leading to retaliatory action against US exports, and it's going to create further unemployment in many geographies, those industries on which tariffs are getting slapped. It's also going to exacerbate debt issues in debtor nations that will only be intensified by import restrictions. So the only way that debtor nations can come up with dollars that is necessary to pay interest to US banks is to export. It's common sense. And a trade war with China would inflict far more damage on the US economy than could be recouped from tariffs and other protectionist levies. So tariffs are going to hurt, and they are hurting both US and Chinese industries, albeit differently. And once again, we see politicians do what they always do, make special favors, dispensations to placate their constituencies. And the US is doling out over 12 billion to farmers, and China is injecting more than 70, 75, 80 billion dollars in their economy to improve liquidity. What we are missing is in the US, our economy is driven primarily by domestic consumption. Maybe around 70% plus is domestic. So trade is really not the issue. Increasing private domestic consumption through lowered prices is. I'm all for strong action by the administration to reduce barriers to US exports. However, I still feel that trade restrictions will not help job creation. They will not promote American exports. They will only lead to higher consumer prices, and it might lead to higher unemployment. I've been seeing some great commentary from the Heritage Foundation, which suggests whether to impose tariffs or non-tariff barriers. The president should follow some simple guidelines. First, do not let political lobbying override market discipline or legitimate competitive pressures. One should consider the consequences for other domestic industries and producers, as well as the consumers. We should respect US obligations under existing trade agreements. We are a country of laws. And we should understand that trade cases are among the most costly and least effective ways to punish other countries. And this is not new. There's empirical evidence that supports this. So these are my reasons for speaking out somewhat strongly against the trade wars that seem to be gearing up. Thank you so much for listening in. Bye-bye.